I am so glad that Donald Trump won the 2020 election the way that he did. Wait, no, do I mean 2016? Do I mean 2024? No, he won the 2020 election. And I'm glad he won it the way he did. He won it in such a way that Biden became president. What am I talking about? Well, we've all lived through this, and we all know that Trump won the 2020 election. And in his first administration, he was handcuffed by a number of things, by the deep state, by Republicans targeting him, by his own ignorance of how deep the deep state was, right? That first term was just a breaking him in, right? Breaking him in. And then the Chinese released a virus, and then the Democrats changed the voting laws, and mail-in ballots were tallied so that, right, we've all seen all of a sudden he's losing in these states, and Biden suddenly got it right. We know, we've lived through this, and I'm glad it happened, because as a Christian, God ordained it so that we could get a real cleansing of the system. And it takes time, right? I'm going to play for you a couple clips here. There's a case in Fulton County, Georgia. Hey, Maricopa County, pay close attention. As goes Fulton, so goes Maricopa County. These are the two counties that got the most attention regarding election integrity and fraud. And it is being exposed. So it's good news for Arizona, good news for Maricopa County, what's happening in Fulton right now. But before that, I'll show you a little bit of the testimony that's happening and expound upon it. But before that, I want to replay for you a piece of this phone call that the Democrats all jumped on, calling Trump trying to extort the governor of Georgia to find votes. They're blaming Trump for corruption and voter fraud, when the very fact of what he's doing is trying to expose voter fraud. And he didn't pursue, but it's happening in the courts right now. I'm going to replay this familiar phone call. You've probably all heard it before, but let's just hear this little excerpt again to refresh our memories.
You have many that aren't even signed, and you have many that are forgeries, okay? You know that. You know that. You have no doubt about that. And you will be at 11,779 within minutes, because Fulton County is totally corrupt, and so is she totally corrupt. And they're going around playing you and laughing at you behind your back, Brad. Whether you know it or not, they're laughing at you. And you've taken a state that's a Republican state, and you've made it almost impossible for a Republican to win because of cheating, because they cheated like nobody's ever cheated before.
Now, how did Trump know there was cheating going on? Because the Democrats spun this as Trump telling Brad to dig in and manufacture votes or find votes. What's at issue here is about 315,000 votes that the chain of custody was broken. We'll get into that in a bit more. Chain of custody. If a chain of custody is broken, it's invalid. So 315,000 votes are at question here, and that's what Trump's talking about. How would he know this? They were monitoring. The federal government can monitor what's going on, and where there's problem areas, he makes phone calls. He called a lot of governors that day, and this is one that was leaked to the press, I guess, maybe by the Georgia Republicans. But I want to play another call that I've never heard, and we'll play that next. This is this Attorney General, I believe, of Georgia, where Trump is calling in to get him to call a special session to hold off on certifying the election, or hold off on including these votes, because Trump is asserting that this is a special circumstance, and that the Attorney General, or the Secretary of State, well, whoever it is, I have it written down. So Speaker of the House in Georgia has certain authorities, and this is extenuating circumstances, so he may have extra authority. This is a short clip. Let's hear this excerpt from this I've never heard yet phone call.
You do it to uncover fraud. You could say for transparency and to uncover fraud, possible fraud. So who's going to stop you for that? You know, it's like
a federal judge.
Possibly.
Who was that? What was that? That's a call I've never heard before, but what it was, and I hate to speak ill of the dead, but Speaker Ralston has since passed away. But his voice, his chuckle there, like, who's going to stop you? Federal judge, possibly. That's the epitome of rhino republicanism, Republican in name only. That's a spineless politician that probably has animosity against Trump for whatever reason. That guy had the authority to call this investigation. That guy had the authority. And Trump says, who's going to stop you? And he says, a federal judge, possibly. Yeah, well, these are unprecedented circumstances. You have the authority to call this. And he's just saying, oh, possibly. Sure, there'll be a federal judge stopping until it goes to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court is going to take it up. And then we would have had, but, okay. This all happened for a reason. Trump didn't push it any further. This is just coming out now and being exposed. And the Democrats and those in the government in Georgia who were responsible for this are being called on the carpet. And this next clip is a politician, or I don't know if she's elected or if she's a staffer, but she is acknowledging that what they did was wrong, right? Too little, too late. But they're correcting it now. Let's hear this testimony. This is just a couple days ago. This is happening. It's happening, people. I'm talking to you, Maricopa County. It is happening. Let's hear what she has to say.
In with you here.
I've not seen the tapes myself, but we do not dispute that the tapes were not signed. It was a violation of the rule. Since 2020, again, we have new leadership and a new building and a new board and new standard operating procedures. And since then, the training has been enhanced. The poll watchers are trained specifically. They've got to sign the tapes in the morning and they've got to sign the tapes when they're run at the end of the day. When the tapes come back to the hub for, with all the documentation, they are checked again. And if somebody forgot to sign a tape, then Fulton initiates an investigation. But we don't dispute the allegation from the 2020 election.
We don't dispute the allegation from the 2020 election. Yeah, everybody else has been disputing it until now because they're digging in, right? They're having to face the music for their nefarious behavior. Now, what's she talking about? Signing the signatures of the tapes. Now, I have a little bit of experience in this because I did a deep dive. I was in when the Maricopa County judge ordered the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to conduct a comprehensive audit of the presidential election in Maricopa County in 2020. There were hearings. I was at these hearings. I heard a bunch of this stuff. There is a procedure that your vote goes through in order for it to count. Your vote must have a chain of custody, and that's what she's talking about. These tapes at the beginning and end of every session of vote counting, and I think this is specifically talking about the early vote counting. There are tapes that record and document what's happened, and there have to be people observing. Official government officials, right? The government officials have to sign off, right? And she's talking about there's new procedures in place. These procedures were already in place. She confessed to it. They violated the procedures. But I guess they're putting new procedures in to be extra careful this time. It's good news, people. It's good news. And let's hear finally from the complainant. This is representing the people whose votes have been disenfranchised. I want to include this little bite from him.
All right, you've got some exhibits I'm giving to you up there. Good afternoon, board members. My name is David Cross. I filed this complaint in March of 2022 with the State Election Board, documenting systemic violations of Georgia law in Fulton County's handling of advanced voting in 2020. Our group paid Fulton County $15,800 in an open records request, where the county turned over 77 megabytes of records, every tabulator tape representing 315,000 votes. The state election rules are crystal clear. On page 2, you'll see the Georgia Rule 183-1-12.112 or .12 requires every Dominion tabulator to print exactly 3 tapes at the close of each advanced voting day. All 3 tapes must be witnessed and signed by by 3 poll workers, or their reason for refusal must be noted. One signed tape goes on the polling place door. The second goes on goes in a sealed envelope with a memory card. And the third goes in an envelope with a polling place recap form. These signed tapes are the sole legal certification that the reported totals are authentic.
What's going to happen after this process happens in Georgia and in Maricopa County is that the election totals in those 2 states, and maybe some of the other states, will be revised and will show, because Trump lost Georgia by just under 12,000 votes. The same with Arizona, lost Arizona by just under 12 to 15,000 votes. It will show that Trump actually won both of those states. And even one of those states, I believe, puts him over the top. And so it will definitively, in the historic record, once all of this is resolved, Trump will have won 3 times. Officially, legally, 3 times. So if he runs again, it's going to be a 4th time. Make sure you guys go in the description below and click on some of the other content there, comment in the comment section, but most importantly, like and subscribe and share this video. God is in control.